One of the themes we're kind of talking about is just being on a mission. And so the important thing about that is we set these goals at the beginning of the year, kind of the mission, and we want to stay true to that no matter the circumstances. So if you're the starter, if you're not the starter, if you're injured, if you're not injured, right, we're a team on a mission, and that doesn't change. That's something me and my teammates have been thinking about. Just expect the fight, and then once the fight's there, you got to embrace it. Expecting it to be hard and then embracing it.
What's up, all? John Forster here, breakdown from the barn. We're on episode 47. With me, as always, the greatest mind wrestler, Eric Winnuck, and we got a big guest, Ivy Leaguer, All-American, CJ Composto on today. How you making out, CJ?
It's been a good day. We had a good morning of training, so happy to be here. Looking forward to talking with you guys.
Yeah, I see you're at the Penn Regional Training Center now. Great, great atmosphere there. Great high level, top competition for you. So let's get into it. I mean, you've been named captain this year as a sophomore. Penn team is looking strong, top to bottom. What do you got to tell us about, one, being named a captain, and then two, about this Penn lineup this year?
Yeah, being named a captain was pretty cool, just because kind of instilled confidence in me that the coaches believe in me and my fellow captains Nick and Lucas to kind of move the program forward, because we had some great leaders graduate, and Doug Zaff, Carmen, and Ben. So all three of our captains graduated. So it's kind of what's the word, kind of handing the program off in a way. So we want to make sure that we're continuing that momentum that they built for us, and kind of just following in their footsteps and trying to make improvements. So it's been pretty fun. It's been a really enjoyable season. We're really trying to just focus on the process, focus on getting better every day, and I think that's really brought a lot of great energy into the room. So I've really been liking this season. Yeah, it's been fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
And we know, CJ, that there's a lot of respect within the not just within UPenn, but within the RTC in general. I get a lot of great feedback. In fact, we were down there for a clinic with Jordan Burroughs, and my son got to meet JB, and I say, hey,
That's
JB,
awesome.
just a couple of guys from Westfield. He's like, oh, the Composto. So, if Jordan Burroughs knows your name, there's got to be some good reputation there. So all good. So before we go on the second question, kind of, tell us about that lineup. As John said, loaded with talent. There's a local kid from Clark that went to Del Barton that now is lineup. So why don't you just walk us through what's in that lineup? You talked about handing the team over kind of to the next generation, and what a heck of a generation it is.
Yeah, I think what's interesting this year, one of the themes we're kind of talking about is just being on a mission. And so the important thing about that is we set these goals at the beginning of the year, to kind of the mission, and we want to stay true to that no matter the circumstances. So if you're the starter, if you're not the starter, if you're injured, if you're not injured, right, we're a team on a mission, and that doesn't change. So we're going to go out to Midlands next week, whether we have 10 champs, whether we have no champs, the mission stays the same. So kind of eliminating that choice of what are we going to do? How are we living? How are we training? It's kind of, we're a team on a mission. We're sticking to the mission, no matter the circumstance. So that's kind of been just the mindset of everyone on the team, really. And it's made it really fun. Kind of everyone being on the same page and pretty committed and unwavering in our goals. So it's that's kind of what we've been thinking a lot about, just making our improvement and like the lineup and the guys that we've been putting out. So yeah.
And speaking about a mission, you had quite a mission about a week or two ago. You pulled the number one wrestler at 141 in the Woods. And the last time you guys wrestled, CJ, I think it was at the Nationals. I think he teched you within like 4 minutes. This time around, you kept the score to 5-0. But I would also say that aside from kind of that ride out in the first period, you really gained steam in the second and third. And anyone who watched that match, even late in the third period, you started bringing a little bit of the noise. Kind of your offense was getting going, almost to the point where you were pushing real Woods. So that's a huge changeover from 2 years ago. So do you think kind of that's going to help that momentum? So gaining steam in that match, does that help you gain steam during the season? And how does that kind of prepare you going into Midlands in January and obviously ultimately into March?
Yeah, that match, I think that match showed maybe I was able to limit his offense compared to the last time. Obviously, like you mentioned, it was pretty quick tech. This time, not as many points were scored, but I wasn't quite able to get to my own stuff still. So still 0 points combined in both matches against him. But that match definitely gives me confidence, especially my coaches just going forward, because kind of what they told me before the match really, really worked. And I saw what we were working on in the weeks leading up was working. And I think that's going to give me confidence going forward, because even in that match, when the stuff that I was my kind of defense or tactics, when I realized that they were working, part of me was thinking, oh, wait, stuff my coaches told me is actually working. Like there was still a little part of me, I think, that maybe just from that last match getting teched so fast, there was some lack of belief deep down that maybe I didn't realize until I got out there. But once some strategies started working, it really gave me confidence that, oh wow, like, yeah, my coaches really know what's best for me. They know how I'm going to succeed. And so yeah, going forward, I'm just really going to keep trying to listen to my coaches and try to just do what they're telling me as best I can, because clearly they know it's going to work. So
Yeah, it's funny because you watch some of these matches that are close in points, but they're really not close. I think of a million matches Kyle Dake has wrestled where he's beaten an opponent 5-6 nothing, but it's literally the guy was just never in the match. He just got manhandled. But I really thought what I liked about that Woods match is you were getting to your offense, you were getting to your shots, you were pushing him back. And I think the points will come, and you're absolutely right. These, you're in a high level program for a reason. They're able to do the scouting, they're able to make the adjustments. So speaking of adjustments as a program, okay, you guys have really kind of started to push the level from where you were, 5-10 years ago. And that almost put a scare into Iowa. So not just your match, but I think the lineup in general. And John and I were kidding, we were going back and forth. You're like, yeah, you got to bump CJ up. If you do this, you do that, they're going to take that duel. And you guys almost did. So kind of talk us through that match in general, what the UPenn approach was, and how you were able to, put such a scare into a program like the Hawkeyes.
I would say that match was, regardless of the result, even just the lead up to it, that was just an awesome experience for me. Probably the biggest duel I've been a part of since I've been on the team. And also just the energy in the palestra before was awesome to feel. And I say feel because that's not really something you just look out and see. You could feel the energy when you were in there, and we all felt that. And I was the third match. We had a freshman go. It was his first, Max Gallagher. It was his first ever dual meet, wrestling the first match against Iowa. And I was just sitting there thinking, I'm glad I'm not first. I'm not gonna lie. I felt my heart rate getting up just because obviously we're not a team that every match is like that. So it was awesome to have that atmosphere and that excitement around the program. We all really appreciate it, and we all think it's really cool that people are interested in the sport. And I was just talking with my coach and some of my Coach Pearsall, some of my teammates, that just the respect for the wrestling team here on campus has grown over the last few years, and people are really starting to notice how hard we train and the lifestyle that we live. So it's pretty cool when people just see you with wearing the wrestling shirt and they're like, oh, you're a wrestler. That's dope. So I love wrestling, and I think it's cool that it seems that a lot more people are starting to love wrestling too. So yeah, it was really cool seeing everyone come out for that match and all the excitement there. I liked it.
Yeah, definitely good stuff. Let's talk about what's next on the schedule for you. You're headed out to Midlands. What do you say about that tournament and the preparation going in there, and probably have a bunch of hammers in there? And what's that tournament mean to you?
Yeah, the preparation's been great. We actually haven't had a competition since that Iowa match, which is almost, I think it might be almost, it will be close to a month without competing. So we've really just been focused on training hard in the weight room, training hard on the mat, obviously having some really good practices. And yeah, so I'm really happy with how the preparation's been going. And I guess what the tournament means is it's going to be the last tournament of the year before the dual meet season kicks off. So it will be a good test of our conditioning and kind of our mental, where our mental strength is at. Just kind of, it's a lot different mentality going through a 2-day tournament where you might have 5-6 matches versus just one duel. So it's a whole different type of mental. There's a lot of different challenges that come with regulate and just kind of your mental states throughout that tournament. So I'm excited for that. I always like going to tournaments. Dual meets, sometimes you get a little more nervous, but in a tournament, you're just, there's so many mats here, there's so many people, let's just wrestle.
Midlands
So
is that kind of tournament. And listen, I know John has really gotten harp about what Midlands used to be, but it's still not a pushover tournament. So you think of some
oh
of
no.
the season tournaments, you get a couple of, you get a couple of quick texts, but Midlands, you can get a top 10 guy right out of the gate.
Yeah. I would say there's no pushover tournament in any, you could go to any open in any state and it's going to be a pretty tough tournament. So like at this point, we're at that age now where most people wrestling, they don't have to be wrestling. They're wrestling because they love it and they're tough. So yeah, there really are no pushovers once you get to a certain level.
Yeah,
Which
you
is
don't
fun.
want to get me going about Midlands back in my day, but we'll move on to, you talk about the Iowa match, big crowd coming in, and we're expecting a big crowd coming in January 6th too. Rutgers is
Yeah.
come down the turnpike. We know there's going to be a lot of Penn fans, a lot of Rutgers fans. A lot of invested alumni in there. So, what do you say about that match and the Rutgers lineup and what does that match mean to you?
I'm pumped for that match. Similar reason to the Iowa match, just kind of feeling the energy in there. I think there's going to be a lot of people coming out for that match, mainly because kind of Pennsylvania versus New Jersey, that type of energy. And also I think a lot of guys on the Rutgers team, I kind of grew up wrestling around. A lot of guys on my team grew up wrestling around those Rutgers guys. So I think it's going to be cool, kind of a mutual respect for those guys that, wow, we've really been working at this for so long, and we've really been putting in that work since we were in first grade, second grade, a lot of those guys. So I think it would be cool, just kind of, yeah, we've really gone on our separate paths, but we've kind of both teams, all athletes on both teams, we've stayed the course throughout our lives, and we've gotten to this level. So it's going to be cool to be able to showcase all of our training and all the work we've been putting in since we were in elementary school wrestling with those guys. So it'll be pretty cool. I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, we're pumped about it as well. And just to throw out there, anyone listening to that show, wrestler and business event, going to be at the Post. We're going to have free food, free tickets too. If you sign up, I'll post the link, in the notes. So sign up. First 50 people get free tickets, but we got a lot of free food. Mill Street Capital, Josh Gross is sponsoring it, so it's going to be top cuisine. So get out, guys, and get fired up before we come see CJ do his thing. And speaking of your match in particular, CJ, you got a good one that I think is going to be a battle. What do you think about your opponent? 6-year senior Mitch Moore, a couple time national qualifier. I think he's ranked 16th right now. What are your thoughts on that matchup?
Yeah, you said it was gonna be a battle, so that's kind of what I like. It should be fun. That's something me and my teammates have been thinking about. Just expect the fight, and then once the fight's there, you got to embrace it. So yeah, I'm excited for that, and I'm sure as that match gets closer, my coaches will help me out, tell me what I gotta do to get the best results, and I'll listen to them and then try to do what they said as best I can. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to going into all dual meets. Just really embrace the fight, kind of like what we were just talking about. There's no pushovers, and the fact that there are no pushovers, you shouldn't be expecting that. So I'm really looking forward to just fighting every match from here on out in the season. Fighting with focus though, aggressive discipline, as we like to say, or relentless intensity. And so yeah, I'm excited.
There you go.
Speaking of no pushovers, we talk about the national tournament. And going back to your All-American run, two guys you beat, Alvarez and Michik. Since that you wrestled them, they've become world champions and national champions, respectively. So, just from your standpoint, does that make that run you had a couple of years ago even that more gratifying? Because there's some guys who become All-Americans, they have good, tough competition, they sneak into 8th. But for you to beat somebody who would, like I said, later become a national champion, ultimately Michik who would become a world champ, how does that make that tournament feel today?
Yeah, that's a good question because I don't it's not that it necessarily changes my thoughts on that tournament. It more just instills confidence in me going forward that I'm close. I'm right there with those guys, and just because they accomplished those things, that doesn't mean that's because one guy got a world medal and one guy won, senior nationals or nationals. That doesn't mean, oh, no, you could do that. Transitive property up doesn't work in wrestling. We know that, but I think it really gives me confidence that I can go out and do those things. And just like on that last point, asking me about the duel, what are you expecting? Expecting it to be hard and then embracing it. So not, oh, you beat these guys and these guys got these results. Now you're going to get these results. It's more, you beat these guys. Now they got those results. You could also get those results, but you got to step up to the challenge. And it's just kind of a matter of embracing that challenge and really just having the courage to compete when it matters the most. And I watched Aliris compete this weekend at senior nationals, and he really looked tough. And so yeah, I got a lot of respect for him, and that was cool to see him just kind of compete with courage at that tournament, and he got the result of first place, which was cool. So yeah, I got a lot of respect for anyone who wrestles hard and wins matches. So it's cool.
You've seen a lot of guys younger, not that he's necessarily young, but just, coming through the college program, there was a time where you compete with these world guys who are, pushing 30. Okay. It's just, you had to wait your time. I mean, David Taylor and Kyle Dake had to wait their time. I think a lot of the wrestlers coming up, you could just see we saw Vito get beat earlier this year. So you're right. I mean, everyone's getting better. Everyone's getting pushed. I think the quality of wrestler that's coming, kind of through the rec ranks all the way through early in college it's really impressive. And you talked about, how the sport is really growing, and I think you're spot on accurate. Okay. And that's the point. No pushovers. Okay. Speaking of not a pushover, another kid who's getting better. Let's talk about your brother, Ethan, real quick. He's at Gettysburg, had a really nice win in the tournament early in the season. So, question one, how do you feel about his early success? And more importantly, having two brothers kind of in the collegiate, do you guys push each other? What does it feel like to having, a younger brother now finally, being a collegiate wrestler?
Yeah, I would say it's, pushing each other definitely, but it's also more just bouncing ideas off of each other. And this goes for my brother and also just all my former teammates that are still competing or friends that compete at other schools, just bouncing ideas off. Yeah, Luke Hurley at Stevens. So we just bounce ideas off each other. I talked to Ethan, talked to his team about their training, what he's doing outside the room, lifestyle things. And, oh, this is working for me. Oh, yeah, let me actually – you're doing this, you're ripping the ice bath every day and it's helping you. All right, I'm going to try that. Or you're reading this book that you think has been helping you. I'll try that. Or sometimes you talk to them and you realize, oh, damn, I really got to stop doing this or start. So I think it gives me a really good perspective just talking to my brother, Ethan, figuring out like what's important to us and what fulfills us and stuff along those lines. And yeah, so it's really cool that he's kind of getting to his own journey at Gettysburg, and I feel I just see myself a lot in him just because there's a lot of challenges that you face when you're a freshman in college that I think are almost universal in a way. I think anyone who's kind of in this age demographic can speak to those challenges and that everyone faces them, and you get to relate and have really good talks about it. So yeah, it's really cool that I got a brother wrestling and we get to share our stories and help each other go through life. Yeah.
Yeah, and you spoke to that transition, and obviously, you wrestled at a high level. Ethan, I think was, made it to the round of, 12 in high school. So both you guys wrestled at a high level in high school, but that transition to college is so hard. I remember my first, what a difference it was, both from, you run into these men on the mats that you just didn't drill with in high school. Even if you had a good drill partner, it's like this kid who was a junior, doesn't really have a great record. He was okay in high school, and then he's beating the heck out of me. what? I'm like, you realize you're a kid.
Yeah.
I think it's really helpful for you two to have each other to support. Sometimes it's good to talk parents, but having a brother who's done it, who's seen it,
Yeah.
he can pull that information from you. And you likewise, sometimes you forget where you came from, and having someone like Ethan going through his freshman year kind of reminds you on what you need to do to stay forward. So I think those are all great points.
Oh, for sure. I would say that perspective is just because when I talk to my brother Ethan, you really just come to realize that your results on the mat, that's not what matters in life, and that's not what makes you who you are. So when I talk to Ethan, it's really, I get to reflect on, the type of person I want to become, the type of person he wants to become, and how we can help each other do that. So it's not if I go out there and lose a match, he's not going to pick up my call. So it's been great. Yeah.
So.
Awesome. Great stuff, CJ. Yeah, we're pumped, we're pumped for January 6th. We're ready to get out there, get fired up, everybody. Make sure you sign up, Wrestling in Business. We're going to get out there. Best of luck in Midlands. We're going to be following you there. Make sure you guys follow the show, all the updates, and we'll talk to you later, man.
Peace, y'all.